There's your park post. Evening, everyone.
Yes.
This one. Good evening, everyone. We can get our seats and so we can get ready to start the meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Trustee Huerta, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. President Joey Acuña Jr.,
Here.
Vice President Jocelyn Vargas. Here. Clerk Silvia Paz. Trinidad Arredondo.
Present.
Valerie Garcia. Present. Jesus Gonzalez. Thomas Tortes.
Present.
Student Trustee Eric Huerta.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. First up, item 2 is recognitions. 2.1, recognition of CVUSD Spelling Bee winner and alternate. Who's going to do this presentation for us? Who is? Oh, okay. Bradley's going to do the honors.
Hello all. I just wanted to say a great big thank you to all of our spelling bee participants. This past February, we did celebrate here at the district office and did our district-wide spelling bee. And we would now like to honor and present our spelling bee runner-up, Angel Valdez, and he will be participating with us and heading to Riverside County as well. So thank you, Angel. Thank you. You want to come over here? Yes. And I'd like to also present our winner of our district-wide spelling bee, Alexa Magana. Our students will be presenting, representing CVUSD at the county spelling bee, which takes place on March 26th at Riverside County.
Great. I understand this is her third
Third year in a row.
year in a row. So congratulations. Board members, if you'd like to go down and take pictures, please.
Yes.
Trustee Park.
One, two, three.
Okay, next item 2.2, recognition of Kid Win regional winners, coaches and students. Miss Brady will be taking care of this one.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Executive Cabinet, and our community members here tonight and watching on Zoom. It has been confirmed that we have the longest running Kid Win program in the nation and the largest program in the nation. It is really providing some extraordinary experiences for our students. I would like to, though, have Mr. David Budde come up. He is our STEM champion extraordinaire. It is because of all of his hard work and dedication that we have such a robust program. David, can you please join me?
Thank you, Marie.
And David will go ahead and do the recognition of coaches and students. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. There's a lot of us here. Tonight, we're here to celebrate an extraordinary achievement. These incredible students and their dedicated coaches have taken innovation, engineering, and renewable energy to the next level. Through hard work, creativity, and an unstoppable drive to push the limits of wind energy, these teams have earned their spot at the KidWin World Challenge. Out of all the talented competitors, these 8 teams have risen to the top, proving that the Coachella Valley Unified School District is home to some of the brightest young engineers in the nation. Their journey has been powered by curiosity, teamwork, and their guidance of their phenomenal coaches who have been with them every step of the way. So from Desert Mirage, please welcome the Desert Wind Rats. Coached by Matt Krebs, this dynamic duo, Leonardo and Emily, has mastered the art of wind power and innovation. You guys can see right up there, yeah. From Coachella Valley High School, say hello to Air Brews. Under the leadership of Coach Juan Gomez, these outstanding engineers, Victoria, Ramon, and Saul, have shown that the sky's the limit. Representing Bobby Duke Middle School, give it up for Blossom, led by Coach Edwin DeToya. This powerhouse team, Lovely, Union, Katie, and Adelaide, is blowing away the competition. From Kauai Desert Academy, we have Pacific Wind. Under the guidance of Coach Ed Wilbert, these future engineers, Diego, Josh, Julian, are proving that small teams can make a big impact. Also from Kauai Desert Academy, let's hear it for the Hawks. They're leading the way with Isabella, Michael, are taking wind energy to new heights. And from Valley View, we have the Fireflies. With the guidance of coaches Ricardo Gonzalez and Rocio Naganya, these young stars, Aaliyah, Yami, Getsamani, and Daniel, are lighting up the competition. Also from Valley View Elementary, let's hear it for the Skull Troopers. This fearless team, Caleb, Mauricio, Diego, and Nathan, is proving that determination and teamwork win the day. And last, but certainly not least, from Peter Pendleton Elementary, put your hands together for Windmasters. Led by coaches Lucy Rodriguez, Hilda Figueroa, this outstanding team, Ivan, Isaac, Ralio, has mastered the science of wind energy. These students and their coaches are shining examples of what can be accomplished with passion, perseverance, and a commitment to learning. They represent the very best of CVUSD, and we can't wait to see them take on the world at the KidWin World Challenge. Let's give them all one more big round of applause.
Board members, if you will. Congratulations to all of you, and also to all the coaches who spend those extra times and hours to be helping the kids. We appreciate it. Thank you all.
Let's go right up to their head, guys. And you're right in the middle. No, three. Or if you two wanted to hold it. You got this? Yeah, okay. Oh, Marie, you be in this. You made all this possible. Yes, Marie. Thank you.
Once again, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it. Where's the media when you need them, right? Congratulations. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on with our meeting. Item 3, closed session 3.1. Public comments, closed session. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the governing board regarding any closed session items within the board's subject matter jurisdiction. Please complete a request to address the governing board form and hand it to the recording secretary. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes per person with a maximum of 20 minutes per each subject matter. I have Mr. Daniel Zuniga, I believe. Go ahead. You all ready?
Hello. Oh, is it on? Okay. Hello, my name is Daniel Zuniga. I live in Indio, but I've spent my entire life in the Coachella Valley. I started working for an edtech company, and it's brought me back into the world of education since I graduated back in 2013. I attended the LCAT meeting organized by Dr. Esparza last month for Spanish-speaking parents. During the meeting, I began reflecting on my own experiences and wondered where I would be if I had access to the resources the district provides all of its students. My mother desperately wanted to be part of my education, to encourage my sister and me to aspire to attend college. However, information or resources were never available to her in Spanish. I commend Dr. Esparza for going out of her way to make parents who only speak Spanish feel welcome in this meeting. I want to applaud the parents who attended last month. I noticed many of them in their construction clothes, carniceria uniforms, and scrubs. Yet they were attentive and engaged in every session I attended, actively participating in discussions and asking questions. I know my mom would have sat right next to them. I enjoyed connecting with Marie Perotti and Lindsay Rue during my first station. The work they do, supported by the district to encourage students of all backgrounds to pursue higher education, is amazing. When I told them about my experience in high school in Desert Sands, they were both sympathetic and encouraged me to still go for my bachelor's degree and even offered to help me fill out my application for FAFSA. The care I received from those two in just 2 hours of being in the same room is more than I ever received growing up. I overheard a parent share her son's success with Avid and another CTE program. She mentioned that her son was accepted into a 4-year college thanks to Avid and the district's offerings. The CTE department even reached out to check on his progress in college, which speaks volumes about their support. I wish I had experienced the level of care the district had invested in its programs. I've also listened to Dr. Esparza's podcast, and in her most recent episode, she had a few coaches and principals talk about the new instructional framework, and I was thoroughly impressed. The collaborative environment nurtured by the district is refreshing, and they are already seeing positive results at Desert Mirage High. One of the coaches, Mr. Beltran, spoke about how engagement levels have improved and how teachers are more intentional about implementing the feedback they receive. To close, I just want to share that I believe the district is making the right moves in its plans for success for its students and as a community member, I can't wait to support it in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Marissa Carrera, CVTA.
Good evening. I brought most of my board with me this time. It's not normal, but here they are. So good evening. On behalf of the CVT Executive Board, I'd like to congratulate the school board candidates who won the election. While we may not have been as successful as we'd like, our resolve to effect positive change in the leadership of our district is as strong as ever. Our students deserve ethical leadership whose decisions are based on what's best for kids, supported by valid research and grounded in sound, reasonable practices, not self-serving ones. We cannot begin to explain to you how important it is to provide a positive, healthy workplace for your employees, or how important it is that the money given to our district is spent on the students and the employees who work with them. CVUSD is not a bank for saving money, nor should it ever be a bank to provide benefits to friends and family. As I said, our resolve is as strong as ever. And thanks to some recent actions taken by this board and leadership, CVTA's membership and support is stronger than ever. Thank you.
Seeing no other, can I get a motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We will be back at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Thank you. Well, we can't start sooner than- I want to call this meeting back into order at 8:04 PM. Thank you all for who are still with us. At this moment, as has been recommended by one of our board members, we would like to take a moment of silence for a student that tragically lost her life on an accident this past week. And young student from North Seaview Elementary area. So if we can have a quick moment of silence for her and thoughts and prayers to her family and other members of who were in that tragic accident. Thank you all for that, and thank you, Board Member Tortis, for reminding and suggesting that. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a motion and a second to return into open session. Motion carried 5-0. Can we please announce the actions taken in closed session, please?
Yes. The board took the following action in closed session, approved expulsion case number 24/25-012 for stipulated expulsion. Motion was made by trustee Arredondo, seconded by trustee Tortes. Motion carried 5-0. The board took the following action in closed session, approved expulsion case number 24/25 for stipulated expulsion. Trustee Arredondo made the motion, seconded by trustee Garcia. Motion carried 5-0. The board took action to approve expulsion case number 24/25-014 for stipulated expulsion. Motion was made by trustee Arredondo, seconded by trustee Tortes. Motion carried 5-0. And the last item, in closed session, the board did not approve a resignation agreement for employee number 2025/09/680 by a vote of 3-2. The ayes, trustee Arredondo, trustee Tortes, trustee Vargas, and the noes, trustee Acuna and trustee Garcia. And that's it.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on, can I have a motion to approve the agenda submitted?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Student trustee? Motion carries. Excuse me. Item 5, public comments. We have none? We have none. So moving on, from there, communications, board members and superintendent, written communications. I don't believe we have any. Student trustee, could you please give us your report? Reports, plural.
Roxana Ojeda Medina, La Familia High School. OPAC testing for EL students began on the end of February and is currently going on for this week. La Familia's principal and teachers have been preparing and are ready to have the WAS visit our school next month. LAFA hosted a club rush where students could receive information and sign up for the after-school clubs and extracurricular activities. ASB will host a Del Taco fundraiser in Coachella on March 12th from 3 to 5 p.m. to help cover prom expenses. We hope to have a great turnout during those hours to raise enough funds. If you are planning on visiting Del Taco soon, consider waiting until March 12th to support us. Isabela Jimenez, West Shores High School. Counseling. Counselors continue to meet with students to review transcript, A through E requirements, and graduation status, ensuring they remain on track. They are also working closely with seniors and eighth graders to help them meet their graduation and prom requirements. Academics. WASC recently completed their visit where they observed classrooms and met with student representatives. They provided positive feedback, highlighting strengths and areas for growth. 176 high school students were recognized for reaching grade level or improving their iReady scores. 86% of seniors completed their FAFSA Dream Act applications, ensuring they remain eligible for financial aid. Our school is implementing gradual release strategies to support student mastery. CTE students are preparing for a trip to San Diego State on March 25th. Students are getting ready for the AP testing, and those in dual enrollment courses are now over 50% completed. ASB is working on Tierras de West Shores on March 24th, securing contracts for community members, bring off roading vehicles for Expo. Avid students will attend the write-off award ceremony on March 12th to celebrate their achievements. Additionally, the middle school students have struggled switching from iPads to Chromebooks. They believe Chromebooks will be more cost effective, provide teachers with better classroom management tools, and allow funds to be allocated towards clubs and activities. Line Bautista, CV High School. Coachella Valley High School has been recognized as Ramp School for the first time. The Coachella Valley to earn this honor for its outstanding counseling program. Over the 390 seniors, 70% have completed their FAFSA Dream Act applications, and the College and Career Fair is set for March 26, 2025. In the athletics, boys basketball won DVL League title for the first time since 1987 and reached the CIF quarterfinals. Girls soccer has an impressive 21-4 season, making it to CIF semifinals, while the girls basketball Maria Figueroa earned league MVP honors. Wrestler Jeremiah Pimentel became the first CBH wrestler to qualify for the CIF state tournament since the early 19s. And for mine, Eric Huerta, Desert March High School, I would like to highlight some key student achievements and upcoming events. Puente continues to excel with 10 out of 13 students in the DMHS class of 2025 being Puentistas, included the salutatorian Ariana Hill. Additionally, two Puente seniors received full academic scholarships to UC Berkeley, and two others are finalists for the Gates Scholarship, with the final interviews next week. Puente students are also preparing for university field trips from March through June. Avid has also great success with Brenda Rodriguez Vasquez named valedictorian and Sihon Shang earning a 60,000 scholarship to UCSC. Over 75 students, Avid students, have completed their COD dual enrollment courses, and for the first time in DMHS history, Alicia Sandoval won the regional Avid write-off and will be honored at the dinner on March 12th. In student activities, the prom fashion show was a huge success, revealing the 2025 prom theme, Meet Me at Midnight. ASB is now preparing for Prom Spirit Week, March 17th to the 21st. Finally, in athletics, senior wrestler Kayla Badena qualified for CIF Master Meet and the boys soccer team had an incredible season, making it all the way to CIF finals. While they didn't take the championship, we are extremely proud of their hard work and how far they have advanced. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Board Member Arredondo?
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to thank the community for entrusting me for 4 more years. I know the results aren't final, but my numbers are pretty final. And I'm very excited that over 10,000 residents voted for me. And I'll continue to work hard to represent the community on this board. But more than anything, help students and help our staff, help just be there as a board member to support everyone in our district. So thank you again. I'd like to give a shout out to the top 10 students. I know that was announced at all 3 of our high schools. Very, very excited to see that, you know, our students are just excelling. Shout out to the Coachella Valley High School counseling team who's doing really well. I got a chance to go to the Riverside County State of the County sort of session with Dr. Gomez. Really excited that our students were part of that, showcasing the work through our CTE program and the connections that we're building out in the community so that our students have access to future employment, future job opportunities. So thank you to our CTE program for that. We also had a couple of other ribbon cuttings for our playgrounds. Very, very happy with green spaces and the fact that our students will have good learning spaces. So thank you to our team back there who our facilities team and construction team that helped make that happen. Our students are excited across 4 school sites and also Palmview that we unveiled. So really, really excited. And just want to give a shout out to our sports teams. I know they've all done really well, whether it's basketball, soccer. I mean, just our sports teams are doing really, really well, being very competitive across not only this valley, but also traveling, even our wrestling team from Coachella Valley High School. So I'd like to give them a shout out. Lastly, I heard there was a good dual language meeting at Mount Vista, and I'm glad to see that it looks like our district will find a way to continue to support dual language. I'm not sure quite how the end result was, but I know that it was in my opinion, a meeting where we heard good things, and I hope that the dual language program will continue to support it across our district to make sure that our students have access to dual language, and wherever they may be, whether that's at Mount Vista, Valley View, where we need to strengthen our schools, and I believe dual language strengthens our commitment to education for Coachella Valley Unified School District. So that's all I got, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Garcia?
Thank you. This week, goodness, I've been everywhere. I had the opportunity to be at the Dr. Seuss Day at Coral Mountain Academy, and it was so fun to see all of the students so engaged. They had their gear on with the t-shirts and the Dr. Seuss hats, tried to be festive as well with my own Dr. Seuss clothing, and it was so fun to see so many volunteers there to help read to the students. It was very fun. I was able to go to a 6th grade dual language class and a 1st grade dual language class, and so beautiful to see our linguistically gifted students hear Dr. Seuss in both languages. Beautiful and so fun to read the words in Spanish that are created, because that's what Dr. Seuss did with rhymes, right? So having those discussions with students, even the 1st graders, was very fun for them to understand, oh, that word rhymes and it sounds like so many other words, but that's not actually a word. So it was fun. It was very fun to see the staff so dedicated, all the work that goes into that. Excellent to see. Very fun start of my day and my week. So that was so excellent. At the back of my mind, though, it still weighs on me that it takes such a coordination of so many staff members to create these memorable moments for our students. And I know that out there we have employees who are in distress. I know that letters are coming out. I really hope that all of our employees work with their unions to make sure that they have the representation they need through this process. Please, 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 we have outlined our worst case scenario. That does not mean that that is what has to happen in the end, but you need to work with your unions to see where it'll land. Seeing our learning communities and all of our employees working together with our parents, I mean, every one of you is needed for that. I don't want to lose talent out of fear. And I know it's such a uncomfortable place to be. But please, 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 our students, our staff, our community, we need you. Throughout these weeks, I've heard via text message, emails, phone calls from your colleagues talking about how important your jobs are. So we know it's not fun to be in this situation, but it is there is a path through. And if you can hold on with us, work with your unions, please. I don't want to lose any more than we need to. And I don't want to lose to fear. So please, please, if you can work with your organizations and find that way through with us, our students need you, without a doubt. And it's underscored every event. Earlier today, we got to celebrate all the beautiful things that our students have achieved, and it doesn't happen without every single person on that campus. So please, please, my thoughts are with all of our employees. My thoughts are with the families that lost a child and it sounds like are still in the hospital. So it's bittersweet. There's so much good, but I know that there's distress out there too. So just bear with us. Thank you.
Board Member Torres.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, community, for having me here. It's my third month here being on the board, you on the board, representing the Oasis Salton Sea area. And as we mentioned here today, I asked for that moment of silence because of the desert barriers that our kids have, in the Salton Sea Oasis area. My kids used to ride that bus and get up at 6 in the morning and not get home till 6. So those are long days. And I learned, that, the bus drivers go through those long days too. And we just have to, acknowledge that some of those desert barriers are, the internet isn't always fine. Days like today, it's windy, and I appreciate the district now sends out. I got an email saying that the bus is going to be late because of the construction or whatever barriers there are out there, and then we could get that communication out. We didn't have that before, and I've lived, through the mistakes, if you would, through the transportation. My son, kindergarten and elementary, got lost on the bus, got dropped off at different places, and so I lived through all of that, and I'm proud to say that what we're hearing today is that it's progress and we're getting better. There's still here and there mistakes, but I think as progress moves forward, we can eliminate most of the barriers that we have in this desert. And with that, where I'm working with my full-time job with the tribe, we are putting a stoplight out there in Salton City, so that'll help with the traffic because that's long time coming. There's been many, many accidents out there, and I think this is a great success that finally there's going to be a stoplight put out there to help, at least slow the traffic down that's out there. And that goes with, protecting the kids, having safety with the kids. And like I said, I'm glad that at this day and age that I'm on the board now and I don't see as much as I used to when my kids were going through elementary and middle school with conflict and bullying and violence. And here, this last couple of years, I think we've progressed. I haven't seen, too much of that anymore. And I think we've come a long ways as far as safety for the kids And that's one of the main reasons that I got on the board. It was for the protection and safety and the awareness of, bullying and the violence in the school. So last I'm learning that, the other part of the reason that I got on the board was to make sure that, for the public, and when I was a part of the community, I wanted to see more transparency. And I'm learning now that the past practices of the prior boards are being exposed to us, and we're working on that. We're being transparent now. I know I appreciate the public coming up and holding the board accountable for the past few years of finances or events or anything that's been mishandled. So I appreciate that. But moving forward, I'm going to advocate for the transparency. I appreciate the superintendent's reports that she puts out as far as, the state of the schools, and they went to the state of the county, I think yesterday, right? So we'll get an update on that. As long as we get continued state of the school and the county, and because everything works together. As long as we be transparent, and I appreciate again the community. When you're up here and you're speaking, it doesn't go on deaf ears. We take notes. We go back there. We talk about it. But that keeps us accountable. So I appreciate every single person that comes up and talks about your concerns to the board. And that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Vargas.
Yes. I just want to start off by thanking Trustee Torres for taking the moment to, pay our respects to the loss of our student, and, the family that unfortunately was part of the accident. I actually happened to be out in the area when it happened, and I think hearing the response from staff, I'm glad that got to hear that they also got the support, right? I think the day Wednesday was like a PD day, so I think being able to hear that staff got the support as well, because I think it's impactful, right, for the entire community. So really thank staff for providing that. I think the only other comment I'd like to say, obviously, we're approaching the March 15th date. It's really hard to make those decisions. I don't think any of us really get on the board thinking, that's going to be a part of the job, right? But the reality is that we're having to make those tough decisions. I'm hoping that staff will continue to work with our bargaining unions to make sure that we are doing the right thing, that we're working with our staff, and being transparent through the process. There were some comments last board meeting, some parents, kind of raising that maybe communication hasn't been transparent. And so I think just making the effort to continue to do that is really important to me. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody as we approach those dates. And I know that there's going to be continued negotiations. And so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to find a path forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Real quickly, I want to once again thank all the students that were recognized earlier today. Obviously, there's lots of good things happening in our district. Sometimes they get overlooked by other things, but again, to all the people who are involved, all our team from the district that support our kids, go above and beyond, and really show the kids that there's a way out there. There's some things out there that they can achieve, not just because they're from our district, but they can achieve them anyway. So I want to thank all of them. I also happened to go to the sports ability program that they had over at CV High School. Unfortunately, it was a little overcast, so they may have not have gotten the bigger crowd that they might have been expecting, the same as last year. But there was a good crowd there, and I think people are asking lots of great questions, participating. I want to thank all the volunteers from the team and lots of students that were out there helping out as well. So I want to thank them. That was really great. I also want to shout out to the after-school program. They held their softball tournament last Saturday as well. Really well attended, lots of parents, lots of great games. Towards the end there, I think they're starting to get a little tired. I know the parents were getting a little tired, but that was a great turnout as well. I also did stay for the Desert Mirage soccer game. Unfortunately, it got canceled on Saturday, and unfortunately, when they redid it, they were they were unsuccessful in winning the CIF title, but a shout out to them and their coach and all the players and everybody for that. I think they made a really good run. And I remind people, Desert Mirage has 4 CIF titles. The school's only been around 20 years. So they've won 4. They've been on the finals another time. So they've really had a really good run out there. So congratulations to all of them. I did have a couple of things that I was hoping to get some more information on. I don't necessarily need a presentation for the board, but a couple of things. One is this transportation blackout dates that we have. It's concerning. Not sure why we have them. I understand there's some transition and things are happening, but I always go back to the point that we're here because the students are here, not the other way around. And if the students need transportation or they have events or sports or something that they need to be going to, I think it's our job to make sure that we transport them and not basically make them kind of go around our schedule. And I know some of this is necessary for certain things, but I kind of like a better explanation as to why and how that affects certain areas and not other areas. Certain programs are exempt and other programs are not exempt, or however that works. So again, if we're going to do something, I like it to be across the board, which hasn't always happened in the past. If we can get some information on that. And then the second thing that I did want to bring up, and since in 2 weeks, we're going to redo our committees assignments as we do every year after elections. I have a concern, and it isn't about looking back, but it's about looking forward. And I think a concern to work with our maintenance department, our directors, and the people who oversee that, to actually see what their plan is to really kind of catch up and move forward at our sites, especially the high schools. The high schools are falling behind. And again, this isn't about who is doing what, this is about how are we going to get to that next level. It's not really a facilities issue because the facilities is a different kind of program. So maybe we can have a discussion about putting something together for that. Again, doesn't have to be a full committee, but I think parents were asking at the tournament. I was at Desert Mirage. Parents were asking at the tournament about the upkeep of the schools. And so it's a legitimate question. Same thing when I was at CV High School. There were some questions as to that as well. So I'd like to have that discussion with the board in 2 weeks if we do a committee or we simply put a group together to kind of sit down and do that. But I'd really like to see a plan forward on that. Again, how are we going to get that? What do we need to do? How do we get there? How do we catch up? I noticed when I was out at Desert Mirage, Toro Canyon had tennis courts that when the school was built, but someone took them down, cut the posts, and using them for something else. And I don't ever remember them coming to the board or the facilities committee to ask permission to do that. And I wanted to know who, and I'd asked at the facilities committee multiple times, who actually did that, who authorized that. And again, maybe it was a good use, but again, they didn't tell anybody. They just kind of did it. And that's at Toro Canyon. And as we're trying to push tennis and all these other programs, we kind of killed our ability to use that at a middle school. So that is something, again, I'll bring up at the facilities committee again, and hopefully I'll get an answer. But those are the things that people were asking. Some of the parents were asking about the maintenance of the school sites. So if we can have that discussion next week. And then finally, I did want to mention, we had a meeting with the city of La Quinta last week. I have read many different opinions as to what happened at that meeting and who said what, and it was a good meeting, it was a great meeting. Well, I have my own opinion on that. I think it was a disappointing meeting for me. I think it was a kind of meeting to actually everybody get on the same page meeting, which I thought was great. I want to thank our team who went to explain to them exactly the difference between property taxes, developer fees, and the agreement that we signed with the city of La Quinta, which they seem to be a little bit confused on, especially the council members, which I found surprising that they didn't know the difference. I was curious as they kept saying they want better communications with the district. They want to talk to the district. I reminded them if they want communications, they pick up the phone and they call us. They don't put a letter signed by all their council members attacking us on things that weren't true, running to bloggers and entertainment people and kind of letting them put the spin on that. But if they want true communications and collaboration with us, they should call us. They all know our numbers. I've known some of those council members for years. If you want policy, you make a call. If you want politics, you do what they did. And so I was a bit disappointed, but I think they do understand now what the difference is. We explained it. Our team did a great job explaining it to them. And so, you know, and again, for those of you who read that blogger who decides, you know, she doesn't, well, I wouldn't say she doesn't like the district. She doesn't like certain people from the district. I said to them what I say here. Regardless of who did what, who didn't do their job, who mismanaged this or did that, at the end of the day, this board, and I only speak for myself because my colleagues sometimes stay very excited when I say this, it's the board's responsibility at the end of the day. And I reminded the elected officials from La Quinta that it's anything that happens in the city of La Quinta is their responsibility. I did not say it was all my fault, that I did it, that I did all of this. I said that we should be held accountable and that we are responsible. And I preface that saying, I feel that way. I never speak for my colleagues on that point. But it just seemed that other colleagues were very silent that day when we were talking about accountability. So that is my report from having been on that 2x2 with that particular meeting. I'm hoping in the future that they will pick up the phone and, you know, ask if they want something. They have suggested that they want to have some of our information in their newsletter. They also stated that they'd like to come and visit our site, which would be nice as well. So I just wanted to put my version, I guess, my opinion on what happened at that meeting. And again, it was an okay meeting. I don't think it was a great meeting. I think it was a good meeting. I think we all kind of on the same page now. And then we'll move forward from there. So that is my report. Superintendent, your report?
Thank you. I want to congratulate the top 10 at all of our high schools. I'd also like to thank everyone who supported Read Across America. I know that it's usually a week, but we're extending it throughout the entire month of March here in CVUSD. So there are still some schools who are inviting us to go and read to our students. I want to thank Ms. Dixon at Oasis for having me there to be able to read to the students. Feels great to get back into the classroom and get a little animated and try to take control of a classroom when you haven't been in a classroom in a few years. She helped me out a lot. So it was really great to work with the students on that morning of Dr. Seuss's day. Again, we're taking it for the entire month. So I want to also thank the leadership and the teachers and the staff at West Shores for doing an amazing job on their WASC report. For those of you that don't know, they were on probation, which is not good. In the WASC world, I've been a WASC chair and have worked at secondary for several years, and I had never heard of anyone going on probation ever before. And so we have new leadership there. She's been in the position as principal a little over a year and is really working closely with the assistant principal, and they're turning that school around, and the teachers are really taking, action there. They're doing so much work. They're supporting leadership in so many different ways, as well as all of the staff there. So we were given a WASC report, a presentation, not the report, not the full report, but a presentation with some really positive outlook into the future of our West Shores High School. And so we're looking forward to get a 6-year. If it's with a visit or two, that's fine, but we really want to make sure that that we highlight that they did a great job. And so we know that we're not going to be on probation anymore, and that we'll be moving forward and not being worried if we're going to be able to graduate that senior class there. So thank you to all of the staff at West Shores High School. I want to thank everyone in CVUSD who has supported not only our CVUSD students, but students throughout the entire Riverside County with our prom dress. And I know they were trying to bring in shoes and jewelry and makeup and other items for our students. So know that it hasn't only been our CVUSD students coming to pick up a dress and coming to pick up the accessories. It's been students from all over Riverside County, including students from Desert Sands and Palm Springs. So I want to thank everybody in CVUSD for supporting that. I want to thank Margaret Shirako for bringing a large group of us together, especially Marie Parati running CTE, being the director of CTE, and really having us focus on what we are going to do with the farm at CV High School, and putting out those plans and really bringing us together, different farmers from around the area, to start talking about expanding that and making it look a lot nicer and having classroom space and things of that nature. So I want to thank her for that, for always putting that effort and pushing us to do more for our CTE farm program. I also want to thank the parents and the staff who have reached out to me, not just from Mountain Vista, but throughout the district on the dual language program. I appreciate them being advocates for dual language. As I mentioned at the last board meeting, I'm a product of a dual language program, one of the first dual language programs in LA Unified. And so we're working really hard to ensure that we put out a recruitment strategy, that it starts in the early years to ensure that we have those robust classroom numbers, that enrollment, so that it grows throughout the entire time that the students are at that school, so that we don't have combo classes. But unfortunately, that's where we're at. We do have to have combo classes because we don't have the numbers at the upper grades, but we are working to ensure that we're putting a robust recruitment strategy together here in the district and working with our families as well. I want to give my sincere condolences to the family of the student that we lost, but I also want to give my condolences to the teacher and to the principal and to all the staff and to all the students at that school as well. Our student support services staff have done amazing work in supporting, especially in times like this. They went out there to work with our teachers yesterday during staff development, and it was a pupil-free day. But they also went out there today to give the classroom of that student a lesson on grieving and on being open and putting out your feelings and talking about it and making sure that they were well prepared to understand that their little friend is not going to be with them, but they're going to always be in their heart and their mind. And so I want to thank Julissa and Karina Vega for putting that together. And again, my condolences to that entire family and the staff at CVU. That's all.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to information presentation 7.1. Assistant Superintendent Tavares is going to give the presentation on the 2024-25 second interim financial report. And I'd also like to thank and welcome Dr. Price and his team who are out here, making sure we keep our word and do what we're supposed to be doing. So thank you guys for coming out.
Good evening. I'll be presenting a brief summary on our second interim for the fiscal year 24-25. We'll be reviewing our second interim budget report, our multi-year projection, and our next steps as a district. The 24-25 second interim, the following presentation will provide information regarding our district's second interim report. The second interim budget reflects our revenues and expenditures as of through January 31st of 2025. The budget is reflected reflected and projected up until June 30th of 2025. The district self-certifies our financial status from the following options. Positive certification, which means the district will meet its financial obligations in its current and 2 subsequent years. Qualified certification, which means the district may not meet its financial obligations in the current or the 2 subsequent years.
and a negative certification, which means the district would not meet its financial obligations in the current or the 2 subsequent years. At this time, the district is filing a positive certification that we will meet our financial obligations in the current and in the 2 subsequent years. This is a snapshot of the assumptions that were used as we were building our budget for 25, 26, 26, 27, and our current budget. Sorry, let me, this one, because the screen's a little far from me. So as far as our ADA, we're estimated a funding ADA of 14,996, even though our estimated actual ADA is 14,417. This is just based on our projections because we get funded at P2 and those numbers are, we haven't finalized our P2. So this is just on the district projections. Since even though our actual ADA is 14,417, you can see that our estimated funded ADA is a slight higher in current year and then the 2 subsequent years. And that's because the district is funded on a 3 prior year average. So that kind of boosts our revenue a bit. Our statutory COLA for this year is estimated at 1.7, for 25-26 at 2.43, and for 26-27 at 3.52. There's other factors that also are included into our budget, like our lottery, unrestricted and restricted funding, our mandated block grants, CPI, and the California CPI. Salaries, as far as salaries, certificated and classified negotiations have now been settled for fiscal year 24-25. Step and column for certificated staff, 2% increase in step and column was included in budget. And for classified staff, 1%. Health and welfare is capped at 21,655 for certificated and 22,000 for classified. And then you can see the rest of the statutory benefits that were included in budget. This is a snapshot of our 24-25 revenues and expenditures as of second interim. We are estimating revenues of 373.6 million, with the majority of it being funded through LCFF. And we are estimating expenditures of 417 million. So as you can see, our expenditures are exceeding our revenues. This is just a comparison from our first interim to our second interim as far as revenue. What we presented back at first interim as far as revenues, you can see that it's pretty much staying consistent at second interim, which just means there wasn't a big change as far as revenue or the income or of the inflow of revenue being received by the district as of second interim. The next slide is a comparison of our expenditures when we presented first interim versus what we're presenting now at second interim. You could see there was slight decreases in salary, certificate, classified, and benefits. And that was mainly because as we were working in second interim, we really dig down into our position control. Vacancies typically get budgeted for the year, but we took a look at where we were currently at the month of February, if the vacancy was still there, and reduce what was budgeted. In the case of vacancy does get filled, it wouldn't be for the whole year. So because of that work that the team did, that's why you see a slight decrease in when it comes to our salaries. Books and supplies, there was a slight increase. Some of it is through the LCAP. Actions and goals that have been budgeted for. We also had to realign it to our LCAP and SNC. There's also expenditures of one-time monies that needed to be maximized. So that's what that slight increase is in supplies and in contracted services. And capital outlay pretty much stayed consistent. This is a brief summary of our ending fund balances as of second interim. Our combined beginning balance as of July 1st was 148 million. Our estimated revenues are at 373.6 million. Our estimated expenditures are being projected at 418 million, which, as I mentioned in an earlier slide, our expenditures are exceeding our revenues. As of second interim, we're projecting to have a deficit spending of 44.3 million at the end of the year, leaving us with an ending fund balance of 104. Stabilization committed funds are 46.8. Our reserve for our economic uncertainties is 12.5, and then our assigned restricted dollars is 44.9. The next slide is our multi-year projection slide. So this is just an overview of where, as a district, we are estimating that we will be ending the year. As mentioned in the prior slide, I'm sorry, we're estimating a deficit spending of about 44 million combined. We will be stabilizing 46 million for our stabilization plan, leaving us with the reserves of 3%, which is equivalent to the 12.5. In fiscal year 25 and 26, one-time expenditures were reduced. We also budgeted for the upcoming opening of our new school, North Shore. So that was included in our budget. The reductions, the RIFs that have been approved by the board, those salary reductions have been included in budget. So all that was entered and part of our budgeted projections for fiscal year 25-26. As you can see, at the end of 25-26, we are estimating still deficit spending 28.8. We are meeting reserves at 3% with 11.2 million and committing 33.2 for our stabilization plan. When we talk about fiscal year 26-27, we are projecting ending reserves of 4.3. And this is mainly due to the reductions. If we do not move forward with the reductions that the district has already approved and planned for, then all this, we wouldn't be meeting our reserves. So I think it's important to, number one, note that those reductions do need to take place in order to meet our reserves. And number two, that even though we are meeting reserves, as you can see in the current year and the two subsequent years, we're still in a structural deficit. So we're meeting reserves. Now the district needs to start taking action towards, addressing the structural deficit so that we are not spending more than what we are receiving. So even though the RIF, is significant, there's still more work that has to be done as a district. Our next steps is, like I mentioned, P2. When we're working on our budget, we'll actually have our P2 data, which will give us closer numbers to what we're actually going to end and get funded at the end of the year. The governor will be issuing his May revise, which will also give us more detail and more factors, which are our assumptions to plug into our budget. We will be presenting our budget development like around May or June. Estimated actuals where the year is looking and what we're planning for 25-26. And then our unaudited actuals will be presented in September. And that's all I have. I don't know if there's any questions.
Do you have any questions?
One, you showed what our projections were. I noticed that there was an uptick in the books and supplies. Is there any particular reason why that was? It seems high to begin with, like higher than what we ever actually spend.
In this one?
Yes.
So when we were working on second interim, one of the things that we really focused and worked with our team on and our budget specialists and our directors is, look at our resources. We need to maximize our one-time dollars. There are several resources that will be ending at the end, that will be expiring at the end of June. We need to make sure that we're spending those dollars. The LCAP also, we need to make sure that we're aligning, our expenditures of the LCAP to our budget. We look at what has been spent when we're building budgets. We take a look at, okay, what has been spent up to date, what is encumbered, and what is still left. And if those dollars are still uncommitted, what is happening from February to June that we need to budget those dollars because there might be activities or events that by first interim were probably not included. So those were conversations that my team, my budget people, I had with several directors. So in doing that, it was identified that in supplies, some areas did had to increase to be able to meet our commitments and the activities that are planned. And the same was for services, contracted services.
Thank you for your answer. With any budget, there's always the pie and where we think is most important and where we're actually gonna need. So I'm gonna wanna see in September what was actually spent and things like that. There are things that we can't control because it's just the cost of doing business. And then there are areas where we can absolutely 100% control what we're doing and where what this pie looks like. So again, those books and supplies, seems like a very high number compared to unaudited actuals in the past. Just something that I'm gonna be very laser focused on, things like that. There are things that we can control, things we can't control.
It's something that's been brought to my attention prior, so it's something that I am, I'm looking and identifying it and focusing on. When you talk about the pie, as far as right now, second interim, you can see that our books and supplies currently it's 6% of our expenditures as of second interim. But as we get closer to closing the year, and I'll make sure that I provide an updated numbers for you.
Anybody else? Any questions? Go ahead.
So with the change in revenue, what are we currently doing to make sure that we spend less instead of hitting that 417 million?
So we're receiving 373 million and we're spending 417. That's where that structural, that deficit, not the structural, the deficit spending comes. So we need to get to a point where we're breaking even. If we get 373, we spend 373, or in a perfect world, we get 373 and we spend 300 and save the 73 for a rainy day.
Now the adjustments we're making through layoffs, how is that supporting what we're currently in right now?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So our layoff notices, right? That's 46 million. How is that helping us now?
For our budget?
Yes.
Well, it's reducing our expenditures. So if you see here on our MYP, this is our 24-25. This is our current year. Those reductions were reduced from salaries here. So because we're reducing expenditures, it helps us meet our 3%. If we were to not make those reductions, we wouldn't be even meeting our 3% required.
No, I was kind of under the understanding that our enrollment was actually increasing. And that
So enrollment in ADA is different. So our current enrollment as of last Friday was 15,900, I believe.
Okay.
But we get funded on ADA. So even though our enrollment is 15,900, our average attendance rate is about 90%. So we might have 15,900 students, but they're not here every day. So we wouldn't get, that's why our ADA is like at 14,900. That's like 1,000 ADA difference. So for each student, on average, we get about 17,000. You multiply by 1,000. So that's, I know one of the initiatives that we've been working on is trying to increase our ADA because that would significantly help us alleviate our budget. So our enrollment is increasing. But again, we get funded on ADA. And number two, our enrollment is increasing right now. So whatever P2 is the summary of the whole year. So if our enrollment stays like this and we can increase our attendance rate for next year, this picture will look a lot better.
Yeah, because it seems that we continue in a structural deficit, right? So what it looks like to me is that we need to be even more cuts next year.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I've never seen this much red in the budget before, but yeah, okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I had two questions, going back to the pie. So I see that for the 24-25, adding our certificated, classified and employee benefits, our budget itself is around 75% of those costs, like employee costs. With our stabilization plan, for the coming years, where does that put us percentage wise in terms of our budget? And I think the second question is kind of like, what's a healthy kind of percentage of our budget that should be allocated towards staff?
Typically, between 75% of a school budget goes into salaries and benefits. As far as what the numbers would look like with the reductions, I would kind of have to run the pie in 25-26, which I can do, and then I can
Okay.
provide it to the board.
Okay, so we're at 75, that includes the reduction that
yeah.
we did from last year.
No, this
No.
is as of second interim.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But remember, we're not only reducing salaries, well, it's also other expenditures. Yeah.
Okay. And then my second question, I see in your assumptions, we have the COLA from the outgoing years, the 25, 26, 26, 27. Were those provided by the state?
Correct. So in January, we attended the governor's first initial release of its budget. So
From
when we use our assumptions, we based it off what was provided.
In
to us.
January?
Yeah, the governor releases it's the first view of budget in January, and then in May, there's a revise.
So it's possible that it might be a slightly higher. I'm thinking of some of the.
I don't know if higher, but it's
Might be
possible
low.
that it might change.
This
Yes.
COLA might be higher than, okay. That's.
Anybody else have any more questions? No, go ahead.
In some of the answers, I see Scott Price is shaking his head. Can you chime in, please? Because I feel like we're getting certain answers and you're still here. RCOE.
He's gonna be here till it's all implemented.
I know. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we need to have real data, right? Thank you.
So Ms. Tabarez is doing a great job in regards to explaining the second interim here. A few of the nuances that go along with that are in regards to the percentage of personnel, and that this year is a little bit skewed because there are one-time monies that ended this year. Expenditures had to be made. So all districts right now have a different skewed percentage of personnel than what they usually would because of the one-time expenditures, grant monies that are there. I don't know what other clarifications Ms. Tabarez is doing. A great job. I should probably keep my head stable back there. In regards to the COLA, I'd just say that the state, the last few months of revenue, the COLA will probably not go up. And actually, it might be adjusted down just a little bit. So.
Any other questions? Yeah, you can make a comment.
So a question was asked if we're going to be in the same situation next year and the year after. What I need for everyone to know, not just in this room, but our entire school community to know, the entire Coachella Valley to know that we are not cutting 52 million next year or 60 million. So can you tell them what that number is?
Well, the more we cut this year, the less that we have to reduce in the following year. If we're looking at our MYP for next year, if this stays how this plays out, we're meeting our 3%. In year 4, which when we start building our budget, year 4 becomes our year 3 in the next 2 months. In order to meet our reserves, we would have to cut about 7.5 million.
Anything else? Good.
which if we were more accurate with our books and supplies, we might just be able to cut it there and be perfectly fine. Again, our unaudited actuals generally are around 12 to 15 million. So 26 is higher than I've ever seen so far. And even without being on the board, I've tracked that just in my day job. So it's just high for me.
Anything else? I just have a couple of comments. One, I'm assuming you're on board with this, otherwise we would have a different thing. So this interim is acceptable to the county or moving forward. You don't have to get up. I'm just, the simple yes is fine. So I think in that sense that we're moving in the right direction. Just a quick comment to yours about the 75%. The number may be exactly the same next year of the percentages, but the total number will be different. That's going to be the change. The 75% is going to fluctuate back and forth depending on what's going on, but the actual number will go down. And again, I think the issue was, and this is one of the things we explained to the city of La Quinta, because they were concerned about us cutting so much this year. And as their city manager actually kind of commented, it's a good thing. The more you do now, the less you have to do later, and it doesn't compound itself over the years and add up and even more and more and more. So he even kind of said, oh, well, that's a smart idea, actually cutting more now than later. That is helping in the out years. And then if we can improve our attendance or get extra money, that goes directly to, it's not that we can spend more money, and that goes directly to our structural deficit that can continue to keep chipping away at that as well. So, I mean, I think, again, difficult decisions, and it's in our hands. We either vote to do this or vote to wash our hands of it, one of the two. So, thank you for all you guys' work and everybody else. I know this is a team effort. Everybody's been out there doing this. So, but seeing no other questions. Thank you. You guys ready? Item 8, action, educational services. 8.1, Assistant Superintendent Sanchez requesting approval of MOU of understanding with St. John's Community Health for school-based health services. Do I hear a motion?
A motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? I have one quick question / comment. Normally when we go out for services like this, we do RFPs, but this is not a cost to the district, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So therefore, for those who have asked, how come we didn't do an RFP on this? These are services that are basically free to the district. I know we have to provide space and things like that, like any partner. But one of the reasons, again, more of a statement to those who had asked, that's why an RFP wasn't done for these services, because they're not costing us anything. Correct. Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Hurtado? Huerta? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item 8.2, Director Antoni requests approval of Title I Equitable Services Plan for Xavier College Prep High School.
So move.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second. For those who may not understand what this is, can you give a quick explanation more to the public and to maybe those who are looking on Zoom as to why we're doing this and the purpose of this? Sorry. I just think there's confusion as to why we're giving money to Xavier.
So the Equitable Services Plan is based on students who live in our boundaries, but who attend a school outside of our boundaries, a private school. And so the Title I dollars that we receive follow the students to their school that they go to out of our boundaries. So that is why every year we work with Xavier, we identify which students are in our boundaries, and then we form a plan with them.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions to that? Just so everybody understands, we're not just giving them money.
Right.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee? All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.3, Director Oliveros requesting authorization to award contract for RFP number 109-2025 E-rate Category 1 for student hotspots and school bus Wi-Fi. Do I hear a motion for this?
Motion.
Have a motion. Do I hear a
Second.
second? Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee? All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.4, Director Oliveros requesting authorization to award contract for RFP number 110-2025 E-rate funding year 2025 Category 2 internal connections. Any questions on this? There a motion?
A motion.
Do a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee? All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.5. Director Oliveros requesting approval of purchase with Apple Inc. for student iPads, classroom Apple TVs, and iPad cases. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Anybody have any questions on this? Sorry. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, action, business services. 9.1, Assistant Superintendent Lavares, approval of the 2024-25 second interim report and multi-year projection. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student trustee? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9.2, Director Suna, approval to increase a purchase order with clean diesel specialists. Do I hear a motion on that?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Excuse me. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9.3. Directores, authorization to award bid number 174-2025 FB North Shore Elementary School relocation of 24-inch main water line for Coachella Valley Water District. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Anybody have any questions on this?
Just wanna, for the record, I think, this is something that's already in the entire budget for North Shore Elementary, correct? So we're not going over budget, we're not tapping into other resources, correct? Thank you. That's all, Mr. President.
Okay. Seeing nothing else, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student trustee? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9.4, Marukin, adopt resolution 2025-36, piggyback on Blick Art and one GPA National Purchasing Cooperative contract number 23-13P-04. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student trustee? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, action, human resources, 10.1, Assistant Superintendent Makowitz. Approval of MOU regarding contractual layoff language and seniority list between Coachella Valley Unified School District and CSEA Chapter 109. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Student trustee? All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.2, Assistant Superintendent Makowitz, approval for 15 K-12 teachers to attend the 2025 Good Teaching Conference South in Garden Grove, California.
So
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and then just to remind, this is something that is part of our contract. So we had talked about not doing, sending people out, doing some of the trips and things like that, but this is one that's mandated by contract. So that's why we're supporting it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Student trustee? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be acted upon in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time the board considers the motion unless members of the board or staff request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar, in which event the items will be considered separately. The superintendent, assistant superintendent of educational services, business and finance, and human resources recommend the approval of all consent calendar items. Do I hear a motion?
A motion with respect to anybody that wants to pull an item.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Does anyone want to pull anything? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Student trustee? Any opposed? Motion carries. We do not have any closed session to go back to. Item 16.2, motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
All right.
Student trustee? All those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 9:13. Thank you, everyone.
Early.